complete this introduction, and that do it in the spirit of what we've been learning about literacy and technology. I want to introduce you to him. Now, Senator Kerry, we're just doing a quick test here. Can you follow the cursor? Okay, we know everything is going great. So, Senator Kerry, would you take it away?
It is my sincere pleasure to introduce Dr. Mitchell V. Chester, Commissioner of the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Dr. Chester began his career as an elementary school teacher in Connecticut and later served as a middle school assistant principal and district curriculum coordinator. From there, he moved to the Connecticut State Department of Education, where he oversaw curriculum and instructional programs. He has also served as the Executive Director for Accountability and Assessment for Philadelphia and the Senior Associate Superintendent for Policy and Accountability for the Ohio Department of Education. Dr. Chester holds a doctorate from Harvard University, as well as advanced degrees from the University of Connecticut and the University of Hartford. He and his wife Angela live with their son Nicholas in Winchester. We are so very happy to have Dr. Chester visit us today and share brief remarks.
You all are way ahead of me on this notion. I have some sense of what you've been talking about, the notion of new literacies. This has been something that certainly I've been interested in, and that a lot of folks are thinking about. With the explosion of technology, with the digital era upon us, what are the implications for literacy? And I'm so pleased that you've been exploring this topic, because I think we're only, in my opinion, right at the front end of beginning to get some insights into that topic. Let me share a couple of tidbits that piqued my interest and that sort of drive or help me frame my thinking in this regard. So the first question: what does it mean to be a reader in the digital age, and how is that the same or different than being a reader in the pre-digital age? From what I've seen, and there's been a couple of studies that I'm aware of, if you watch kids doing research on the internet, you really need to distinguish between their facility in navigating and their facility in research. Because the studies I've seen suggest that the typical approach for a student is to go no more than 2, maybe 3 resources deep in terms of the linkages before just making the decision, I've got what I need and I'm going to go with it. So what are the implications for that? Should we sit there and be impressed that we've got 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds who know how to navigate the internet? Or should we be concerned that they're becoming comfortable with accepting whatever they find with the least amount of effort and the least amount of critical thought? Our students are second to none in achievement on any assessments that we have that look at reading, writing, and math. Really gotten the job done in Massachusetts in terms of our aggregate performance. When you disaggregate our performance, then it's a pretty sobering picture. We have wide gaps in achievement. Too often those gaps are predicated on race, ethnicity, income background, disability status, and in many ways our gaps are larger than other nations. But first of all, they're in 2 subjects, in mathematics and in English language arts. And the fact that they're labeled English language arts is deceiving, because to a large degree they're about the literacy demands across the content areas. And in that respect, I think they're a major because for a long time, a lot of us have been aware that we haven't done the best job in preparing students for reading and writing, for vocabulary, in the content areas. And we've been aware that, that too often students show up in a history class, science class, a social studies class, technology class, and are asked to take on texts that they can't handle, that they don't know how to begin to work with, and they don't have the vocabulary. And the teachers in those areas aren't necessarily prepared, equipped about how to provide the kind of literacy instruction the students need to be readers and to be literate in those content areas. These, the Common Core standards, even though they say English language arts, I think are going to be very helpful in that regard. So I encourage you to take a look at them and examine them from that lens, as well as what they offer to English language arts specifically and the literacies specifically. We are one of the states that is participating in a proposal to the federal government to fund the development of a new set of assessments. We are one of the lead states in this consortium. There's 26 states total, 10 states that are taking the lead. We're one of the lead states. And the proposal, and we just submitted it yesterday, and if you read Education Week, there's an article today in Education Week about the submission. The proposal is to develop a next generation of assessments, because I feel very strongly we have a good assessment in institutions. What we don't need is to spend 4 years developing something that essentially replicates MCAS. What we could use is something that goes beyond MCAS, that builds on what MCAS does well, but takes on what MCAS doesn't do. And MCAS is limited to what you can assess in a traditional sit down and take this test in the next hour or two kind of format. And that's limited. And so included in the proposal are the assessment of some student abilities to synthesize across a variety of material, to size up an issue that's controversial, that's not straightforward, to articulate an understanding of that issue, in some cases take a stand on that issue, offer an opinion on that issue. Fairly sophisticated kinds of literacies, I would argue, that we can't measure very well on current MCAS because of that, the format that it's in. And so I'm very excited about the possibilities here. I applaud you for the week that you're spending here and the work that you're doing with Don and others. I think you're right on the cutting edge. This is where we need to be. I look forward to hearing more about what you're learning, and to my staff, appreciation for setting up a great program here. And thank you very much, Mr. Carey.